Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Yoruus speaking and welcome to summary video to multiplayer game number 147. Yoruus, it is for videos like this you need the background music. That's true. That's true. So this game was played on 12 November. I've got in this game Mr. Miura. Mr. Arvis. Well, Miura playing as England, Arvis playing as Egypt, Igor playing as Greece, Tank and Shoshone, and Mr. Purify playing as Ethiopia. I playing Portugal. No, it's okay, Halo. It's okay. What else was I supposed to say? Spoiler alert. If you don't want to know how the game went, if you're gonna watch the game, go to the first position of the playlist where the actual game starts. But if you do want to know how the game went, so you can decide if you want to watch the game or not, or you already watched the game and want to hear me theorycraft a little bit into the summary of the game, then I invite you to watch this video. Alright, so let's get the show on the road. The recording is a little bit awkward, which means I'm gonna just skip on the recording so it will actually work, because the file is just too big. So let's try to figure out, there we go. Let's try to figure out turn 0. So this is my starting location. And this is this sort of starting locations that I really dislike. I really dislike this kind of starting location. First, you're on a coast. Okay, you're on a coast, but you have 0 sea resources, which makes being on a coast at least awkward, because until you get cargo ships going into your capital, it feels like a total waste. Not only that, by starting on a coast and without any tiles that you can actually work on the coast, you're denying yourself so many tiles to work in the late game. It's like crazy. Like, look at this. If I would start in here and I would stay on this spot, I would have literally 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 tiles to work. For the late game, I would have 1, 2, 3, like 4 more tiles maybe to work. Not even with food. I mean, like 1 hill farm and 2 freshwater farms for civil service. The rest would maybe kick in with fertilizer, and there's like a long way from, like, yeah, it's a long way. And the rest of here is like useless. You can't really plant any great persons on any of those tiles because you need food. You don't want to deny yourself from food. Overall, I hate this kind of start. So I do see a mountain in here. I did move a warrior in a bad spot theoretically, but like my choice is like coast without any resources, or going a capital on a mountain on a river with hopes, like gamble to get some more tiles, is something that I want to take 100%. Though, like, what I see is not really that great, right? It's still nothing for the late game, basically. It's like literally nothing. Still fertilizer, maybe later on. A little bit good hammer tiles for the early game. And bunch of hills, and not really like fresh water that goes anywhere. But I did decide to plant around this place because I felt like, oh boy, I don't have too many choices, right? So this is like a fair look what the land looks like, and I'm thinking like, oh my goodness, this is like a total mess. This is like a total mess of a land. There's, okay, I could plant some of those cities, couple of cities, a little bit of luxuries. I mean, like, we've got wine, we've got gems, we've got sugar, there's citrus, so some luxuries, like 4 luxuries overall. But again, all of those city plans that are accessible to me are bad, and on top of that there's like England right next to me, and like the distance between our capitals is like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 tiles. Whoever plants a city around this spot has got an advantage, right? Because there's probably place for one city spot around in here. And obviously, like, Miura wants to be coastal. I don't want to be coastal. In the end, we kind of had sort of an agreement with Miura. And this land between our capital is just like no man's land. Because, you know, like England, he wants to be on coast. I don't really want to be on coast because I don't have a coastal capital. Basically, this land is at least awkward. Theoretically, it has some good tiles, right, to work, but at the same time, the potential for the late game is at least bad because there's like no good food tiles that provide you with the growth and actually the hammers in the early game. So it's just literally kind of meh. So let's skip on a little bit more to this spot. So there is Old Faithful, not that far away, but I had huge troubles getting my settler there because of barbarians. I mean, like, a huge troubles getting there. And on top of that, like, this spot looks amazing. Like, that spot looks amazing. I wanted to plant here on this hill. It's like a very good defensive spot. It has a lot of wheat around, like 1, 2, 3 wheat, natural wonder with science and happiness, plus the gems here. But of course, a very, very, very bad thing happens. Very, very bad thing happens. Not only like my scout will almost die. I mean, like, there was like such a huge gamble in here. If that warrior would move out of the barb camp, I would lose the settler in here. But like, okay, the first part was lucky. I didn't lose the settler. But guess what's going on? Like, Purify is here when his capital is like so far away. But no, Purify is here. And he's obviously having a first settler, and a very, very bad thing happens. I'm losing the first click on the settler. I know he's got a settler there. It's just like, you know, he's waiting. But he's got a settler in here. He's going to move there, and I guess host advantage on this particular situation. And I'm losing the first click on this city spot. And I'm like, oh, not only I moved so far away to get there, so denied like a city spot anywhere else to do something good, I lose such a good city spot. Like, I almost lost a settler even, which is like, oh. So in essence, I lose this city spot, which is a beautiful city spot, and I almost am losing a settler because of that. Somehow I like those 2 turns on the barbarians just wrecked me so hard. It's like I cry inside right now. I'm transitioning here because I didn't really see an option for anything else around the place. So I lose like a very good city spot. I'm tradition. I've got like nothing in here. So I basically decided to back off with this settler, and I'm gonna plant a city in here. Yeah, a coastal city without a coastal capital. But I'm thinking like, there's like no other spot for this city to be useful in. I can't plant this city inland. Look at this. Like, there's no way I can. This land has nothing. It looks like nice, but it has 0 food for the late game. Like cow, sheep, stone. Okay, 1 wheat. Yeah, exactly, Miura. That was really nice of him. So I'm like, okay, so I'm backing off in here. I'm gonna plant a city here, and there's gonna be another city going for the citrus. So 3 tiles, tradition 3 tiles cities, like 2 cities away from each other. on 3 tiles with 0 food early on and 0 hammers early on. The start was just ridiculously slow and ridiculously bad. But I finally get my 4th city. The 4th city is behind here, behind behind a mountain, because I was a little bit afraid of longbows. So capital is pretty well defendable from longbows, and the city that I planted, like the 4th city, is also pretty good. The only city that was really, really bad to defend against. Okay, this is my last cities that I've planted. Again, like in the middle of nowhere. This city has even less food than any of my other cities. So like my hopes to pull off something in this game was like, this is not gonna work. I'm not gonna be able to pull off regular. I'm not gonna be able to pull off, like a regular SimCity game out of this. There's no option for that. So somewhere after this horrible start, I kind of figure out that like I've got nothing. I've got nothing. Okay, maybe a little bit of hammers. Maybe a little bit of hammers in the early game to crank out some basic infrastructure. But after like getting basic buildings, like granaries, libraries, I will slowly go like into the late game, right? So I figure I need to compensate the lack of land and lack of any possibilities. I can't attack anybody in here. I can't go against Miura, because that would put Miura at a huge disadvantage against Mr. Arvius. I figure out like Mr. Arvius is not gonna attack Igor because Igor is Liberty, so attacking the Liberty sounds a little bit bad at least. Then I cannot attack really Purify because he's like the balance to Shoshone Tank, who's like doing the usual tank stuff, which means nobody's really treading in him. And Tank just goes like crazy with his SimCity wonder spamming nonsense. So I can't really touch any of the players that are next to me. Not only that I cannot do it because of like the situation on the map, but I cannot really do this as well because I've got nothing. My land gives me 0 advantages whatsoever, right? So I figure out like, okay, we're Portugal, we've got 0 food for the late game, let's try to make patronage. At least something out of patronage. Compensate the lack of food and science with patronage, allowing some city-states and like trade routes to city-states, and at the same time try to get gold to compensate the lack of hammers in the late game, lack of food. It was like I thought like it's like my only hope. That's like my only hope, and this is what I'm basically doing for a very, very, very long time in the game. Tank has tremendously good game. Purify has second best game around this place. Arvius is doing pretty okay-ish. Igor not so well in my opinion. His Liberty Empire is not doing that great. And Miura is doing okay-ish. Now, I had a feeling that Arvius will attack somebody because this is what he usually do. He attacks stuff. You rarely see him in the middle of the map when he's not trying to clear one or the other flank basically. So I was thinking he may want to go for me, but thankfully he went for Miura, right? So at some point of the game, Mr. Arvius attacks Miura, right? Now, attacking into England has 0 sense. I'm like, makes 0 sense attacking into longbows. I'm like, okay, if like you can crush England relatively shortly, well, relatively quickly. But I think Arby's decided to war, like, this is turn 107, okay? It's right before Industrial Era. Well, with when you have a slow science game like I do. So it's like right before Industrial Era, so you may assume that you can hit a timing when somebody's really not prepared and he wants to go like for factories on the other, all the other stuff. But it didn't work well. Arvis only managed to take Nottingham and couldn't really either hold it or push forward. So after several turns of preparation and going to war, he took one city, but didn't really gain anything out of that war. And that put Miura and Arvis in a very, very bad spot. They both has been slowed down, right? If Arvis would take Miura cities, he would be in a good shape. He would need to SimCity a little bit, but for the late game, he would have additional cities like 2 empires for the late game. So that would be cool for him if that would work, but it didn't work. So he invested into something and didn't get any return out of it. And Miura, on the other hand, was SimCitying, but at the same time he tried to defend. So his SimCity game was like cut off, and every single plan and all the every timings that he wanted to attempt was destroyed basically. So Arvis and England fall off behind, and I don't think they fall behind me because I had a pretty bad game, but they definitely fell behind like the leader of the games, Tank and Purify. Now Igor also was not doing that great. Yes, I know, Mr. Halo. I'm not saying that like Arvi's decision, like being in the middle of the map, is really bad, especially when you're playing against good players. Halo, I absolutely agree on that. Uh, I did had a game recently, well, recently like 2 weeks ago or so when I was playing Persia and I was in the middle of the map. And when you're in the middle of the map, you don't really want to SimCity in the middle of the map. At some point of the game, you need to attempt to clear one of the flanks, right? Either west or east, because later in the game, if you have, even if you have tremendously good game, if you have like a very, very good game, you at some point of the game, the players, all the players around you can team you, right? And if you have a bad game, then it's even worse. So if you're having a sort of good game or a decent game and you have advantage over one of the neighbors, you should attempt to clear one flank, because later on you will have to worry only about one front. So from Arby's perspective, I absolutely understand that. If I would have to pick which flank do I want to clear, I would probably pick Miura too, because I wouldn't want to deal with longbows as well. But I don't know how the game was going for Arvis, why he attacked so late, but I think he mistimed the attack and like underestimated Miura ability to build up some defenses relatively quickly. So I do agree on Arvis that he needed to do something to be relevant in the game, and he tried to do it. It didn't work, and I don't think he really had a backup plan that would actually like a backup plan that he could, like recover from a failed attack to be competitive with the leaders of the game. So after that, from my perspective, that was sort of good, right? Because Tank is having a very, very good game. Purify, who is theoretically next to Tank, has also a good game. 3 other players right now are in not that great shape, which is kind of cool because I'm also not in a great shape, right? I'm like in a terrible shape demographics wise. I've got almost nothing that I can use. If somebody would like to attack me and kill me, I would put up some fight because I did build up some defenses. I had some city-state gifts. I took terracotta as a precaution, of course, so nobody could time terracotta against me. But I was not in a position to attack anybody, and I didn't really want to attack anybody because, you know, like Miura and Arvis right now have huge armies, and Purify has a tremendously good empire, and I need Purify to counter tank at some point of the game, so there's no point slowing down Purify. There's a risk, of course, involved in that Purify would maybe use his advantage, his science advantage and hammer advantage on me, and clear his flank out. But at the same time, I think he was a little bit more worried about tank, that if he's gonna attack me and won't be able to kill me very, very quickly, then it's gonna give too much of an advantage to tank, and tank just gonna steamroll him. So there was one thing in that game that happened that was very, very influential on the game and very, very useful for me. It was a very useful situation for me because I kind of didn't really have to worry about South anymore, because Arvis and Miyota probably would like to try to SimCity right now and try to catch up to the leaders of the game instead of going into another war that they cannot really win very, very quickly. And now Porto is very hard for me to defend, but the rest of my cities are in a very good defensive spots, at least from south. So I don't think like one city is worth doing that. And also I have a couple of city states near me allied already. So somebody who would like need to declare war on me would need to either ally those city states and buy them off me, or just fight the city states as well. Not like it's a huge trouble fighting city states, right? So from turn 107 until like a very, 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 very long time, not too much did happen. Everybody was like trying to do the plans that they have set before them, and I was trying to make something happen. Now this is my cities. This is turn 117. Yeah, exactly as Halo says. It's much, much easier to get the city states when people are not really paying too much attention on the city states. So I was putting a lot of attention into city states. Now my happiness is good. My gold is starting to look nice. Culture is not that bad. I think at this turn I've got a social policy, so we can take a look exactly what's going on with the social policies. Nobody's really paying too much attention into what I'm doing, but I don't really have too much under my sleeve right now. It's like turn 120, I'm barely at public schools, okay? This is like my tech tree at turn 117. So it's a very, very slow science game. I'm getting some science out of allies with city-states, of course. But except that, there's not much stuff that I have. Now, I wanted to see what kind of social policy will I pick. So let's check on this turn. Oh, there we go. This is turn 117. I'm tradition, patronage, so full patronage on turn 117. That gives me full control on the vote. But except this, I've got nothing. I've got no ideology yet. No ideology, no rationalism, no culture really, because there's not too many culture city-states on the map. So in essence, like, patronage is cool, but patronage will not carry me throughout the rest of the game, science-wise, culture-wise, right? So like, I only have tradition and patronage, and nothing else. At some point I'm gonna get an ideology, but of course it's gonna be like almost last ideology. I've just bought a factory right now in here, so let's see on the next turn what kind of ideology will I pick. Oh, will I actually get like a second ideology? But it's still like freedom. I need freedom in my cities, right? Because there's absolutely no food. I've got no Combra, 10 pop, and it cannot grow anymore. My capital, 19 pop, growing in like 3 turns. The other cities also very, very sad without fertilizer. So the empire is just bad. Now, you can notice that I'm holding up to scientists, which I don't really do very, very often. And I have to admit myself right now that I don't remember exactly why did I hold the scientist right now, because like they will not increase. They will not increase in you know what, in the bulb value, and there's not too many things that I can like reliably get. Oh, I did pick autocracy. Okay, so we've got gold, autocracy, and that's like about it right now. No commerce yet, and no nothing. So patronage into autocracy. A lot of happiness, but no food and no real like potential to get any good science in the late game. I would like to remember why did I hold on to great scientist, but I cannot really remember. Okay, I'm bulbing right now. Did I or did I not? No, I did not. So I don't know why I'm holding to the great scientist. It's probably explained. Mm, it's probably gonna be. It's explained in the game. How much is the mountain capital allowing you to keep up in tech with better SimCity empires this game? I don't think so. And like demographic wise, my science is terrible, terrible. I think like Tank has such a good game. Oh, there we go. See? Yeah, I'm not even keeping up with the tech whatsoever. 50th food, barely like above slowdown Miura. Hammers, decent. Gold, very good. Science wise, total disaster. Happiness, pretty good. So I'm kinda okay. I'm a tough nut to crack right now. There's probably nobody really attacks me at this timing. But later on in the game, yeah, Tank had a mountain capital too. But like later on in the game, I'm dead with this food. All right, 152 food, and I think I'm like working almost max food without fertilizer right now. So horribleness. But good things happens later in the game. I'm keeping quite a bit of army. Research labs turn 138, so that's very late. I managed to get Prora. I don't think anybody went for patronage actually. I'm like autocracy in this game. Trying to grow cities just a little bit to at least max out science and some sort of great person generation. I would like to back off this a little bit because I want to see what kind of social policies did I pick on this particular turn when I got Prora. I would like to see social policies in here. That's 3 turns. Alright, so that's 2 more turns. Prora 1 turn. Prora 1 turn. Okay, and let's see what's gonna happen here. Yeah, exactly. Miura was outsciencing me like, whew. Exactly. My science was just terrible. Terrible. Research labs, like 541 science, and that's it. I'm not gonna get like too much science anymore, so I'm like dead meat science wise. There's no option for me to get to any crucial technology that would like allow me to conquer somebody. Like my only option is like not to die and try to really get diplomatic victory. And what I was really hoping for is that I would be able to get the diplomatic victory on the first vote. Why? Because it seems like Tank and Purify are racing. Oh, so I went commerce, not even rational. So I will try to like finish up commerce until like the end of the game, but I've got no rationalness, so no additional science, no nothing. Probably at the end of the game, I'm gonna be running around like 600 science, and that's it, and that's all. So my hope is that other people in this game that race, they race to that race to space, like get Hubble telescope and all of that stuff, will carry me to information era fast enough that I will have a shot at getting the first diplomatic vote. Now you can see the messages in here, like tank. I have a very good relation with tank. I'm basically supporting both players. I'm supporting tank, who wants to kill Purify, and I'm supporting a little bit Purify, that will have to defend against tank. Now, both of those players, well, tank can't really reach me, but tank can mess up my game with the city-state. Tank doesn't really care about city-states right now, and that allows me to ally almost all the city-state except one. Nobody else really want to spend gold on that, like Purify is terrified of tank, so he wants to save the gold to... he wants to save the gold for upgrade to units to defend against tank. Miora and Arvius are not doing too much, and Igor, I have no idea what was Igor doing in this particular game, right? So I've got like most of the city-state allied. They are not like super crazy city-states, but they give me units, they give me culture, enough culture to probably finish commerce in the late game. And that's about it, though Arvius is killing some of the city-states, as you can see. And at some point, let's see at which turn... oh, Research Lab finishing on turn 146. That's how this game went a little bit bad. But I got some military units, but they're only good right now to slow like somebody who would like to eat me, like Miora or Arvius. But not really against Purify, but thankfully Purify is like worrying about tank. So I do have army that I'm keeping as usual, so I can upgrade it later in the game. But I can't really do anything with this army because my army is hugely outdated, right? And I'm trying to get to some crucial military techs. You know, like at least good planes, like good bombers with autocracy, so I can defend against something. But the truth is, if I would get nuked by somebody, I would just die. But thankfully Purify went for nukes, and he fought tank, and he actually dropped a nuke after like losing the war. That was pretty fast. He lost one city in here, then 147, and capital should fall relatively quickly. Reload. Why do we have a reload here? Yeah, it's like turn 151 and capital is gone. So actually he managed to get one nuke, and he nuked tank's army. Now Igor's doing nothing basically. Arvis and Miora kinda wanted to stay out of this game anymore, because tank was like such a huge leader after taking Purify, that if like Miora and Arvis would... well, Arvis did pick off like one city-state, so he did try to do something, but he didn't do anything more. And at some point of the game, he just went not relevant. And Miora didn't really interfere with my plans. So it was like me trying to get to diplomatic victory before tank's gonna kill me, or they will manage to kill the city-states. And actually Igor started to attack city-state as well, but I don't know what was Igor's situation, but it didn't really work that well. He didn't really do much about that stuff. And tank was getting to me, though we kind of agreed that we're not gonna do, you know, like that unsporty stuff when you like buy off a city-state and declare war. That was like the price that tank paid for my support with gold for his upgrades against Purify. So we make an agreement that he's not gonna do, you know, like a dick move on me, that he's gonna just like buy off a city-state and declare war instantly. But he could kill city-states. He can declare war on city-states, obviously, and he can declare war on me. So I'm owning all the city-states at the moment. Arvius went went out of the game. He didn't want to slow down anybody, because that was the only thing that he felt he could do. Miora stayed in the game to host Yeah, so like Miura is hosting for us only, but he really don't want to influence the game as well anymore. So he's not bugging me. The only problem is like Igor and Tank. Now, I believe I declared war against Igor, because that was kind of obvious what I'm trying to do. The diplomatic vote is in like 7 turns, so I need to protect and hold all of my city states for 7 turns. And at least I've got some good military techs. Now I'm gonna Oxford something. I would like to see what exactly am I going to Oxford. My fate is pretty decent. My gold is semi decent, but I bought quite a bit of planes, and I still am trying to, like use some merchants in here. Uh, Tank is grabbing city after a city, and he's preparing to attack me. Thankfully, Tank does not have nukes. If Tank would have nukes, I would be like, you can see that I've got 10 planes in Combra, right? Because I'm like thinking, okay, he's just gonna like use a nuke, drop on me, but he's not having nukes. He doesn't really have too much planes. He's like, modern armor, rocket artillery, and he just like he went through Purify like through butter. Like Purify defended for, I don't know, 6, 7 turns, and that's about it. So I'm gonna have Tank in here on my borders very, very soon, and I just need to defend. Now you okay? I right now. All right. I remember right now what's going on. So I have World Religion. I've got Forbidden Palace. I've got my ideology, and Arvis took one city state, and I went into information era because I wanted to have additional votes from that patronage thingy that you get additional votes every time you advance into a new era. And I wanted those additional votes, which I managed to do because I used Oxford for that. So in essence, right now, Igor and Tank would need to kill 3 city-states. 3. Not 2. 3, right? Because I've got 38 votes. Good point, Miura. Yeah, Tank had a lot of first moves on Mr. Purify. So, like, every time they kill a city-state, I lose 2 votes, but the requirement to get the vote is slowed down by 1. So they actually need to kill 3 city-states, right? If they kill 1, my vote's gonna drop to 36, but it's gonna be 33 required to get that. If they're gonna kill 2, I'm gonna drop to 34, right? But requires gonna be 32. So they need to kill 4 city-states actually. 4 city-states he would need to kill to deny the science victory. And he's got only 6 turns to do it. He's got only 6 turns to kill 4 city-states. Now Igor can take, I think he's gonna take 2 city-states around the place. Let's skip this a little bit forward. Yeah, he took 1. This one I couldn't really defend. I think he's gonna take the second one. There we go. He took the second one. So Igor pulled off quite a bit of, and Igor take 3. All right. So Igor took 3 city-states, but they needed to kill 4. All right, and Tank makes a horrible, huge mistake. Look at this. There's a city-state here. There's a city-state here, and there's 2 city-states in here. I've got no fleet. But I do have a lot of planes. Planes that can wreck this land in here. And from all the places that Tank could attack into, he decides to attack straight into Bratislava in hopes that he can get to me. And this is like the mistake that allowed me to actually sneak in a diplomatic victory around this place. All right, if Tank would decide to get all of this army and kill Budapest or Cape Town or a city-state in here, I've got nothing to defend against that. So if he would take one of those city-states, I would be dead and gone. But thankfully he didn't. So Igor took off the 3 city-states around this place, and Tank didn't went to the proper city-states. I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I could only defend Yerevan. I can sort of defend Budapest. I'm like, I can sort of defend Budapest. Bratislava I can defend until nukes without any problems. But I cannot defend Cape Town, and I cannot defend this city-state here. So if Tank would go for like any of those 3 city-states, well, like those 2 city-states, instead of trying to attack into me, I don't know what happened there with Tank. What was he thinking? Maybe he underestimated my defenses. Maybe he thought like he's got such a huge army that it's going to be very, very easy to kill me. But he needed to go for different city-states, but he didn't go. And that allowed me to get a diplomatic victory, which was great. Oh, well, I'll go back a little bit. Let's see that one more time. Come on, show me the World Congress, Mr. Yoruus. I know you want to. Yeah, there we go. Igor is like, why Tank attack you instead of city-states? That's the question. Why did Tank do that? Resync? Seriously? Where's the voting phase? Oh, there we go. Finally. Two Yoruuses, right? There we go. 1. Okay. So, yeah. Okay, the mod failure. He needed to kill 2 city-states to deny me, because if he would kill 1 more, my votes would drop by 2, but I would get, like, the votes needed would drop by 1. So he needed to take 2 city-states. And from all the city-states that he needed to attack, he decided to attack the wrong. He should take those 2 city-states there. He had 6 turns to do it. He needed to take those 2 city-states. I couldn't defend those 2 city-states. I was even trying to build up destroyers so I could slam into the at least 1 city-state that he was would attempt to capture. But what, I had like 3 destroyers, maybe 4, and they were definitely out of position. No, 2 votes, Miura. It dropped down by 2 votes. So he needed to take this city-state and this city-state. No, they give 2 votes, Miura. Every time they give 2 votes. So he attacked the wrong way. And that allowed me to grab a diplomatic victory. I have to admit, I was very, very, very happy at the end of this game, because I was like thinking, oh my god, all of the mess from the early game, like all the mess that happened in here, I kinda knew. Look at the size of my cities. I know it's autocracy, right? But look at the size of my cities. 24, 21, 19, 16. I was pretty much sure that maybe Halo, I kind of knew that I cannot compete with this. Yeah, mountain cities, but 0 food. That I cannot compete hammer-wise, science-wise, against all the cities that other players have and all the advantage that they had early game, because not only I had a very slow start, I also didn't have late game potential whatsoever, right? So I risked. I went all in into hopes for diplomatic victory. I was not hiding with it. Not no no. I was really not hiding with it. So I guess players did underestimate uh, underestimate the, I don't know, for example, tank, the time he needed to kill Purify. And Igor, I totally don't know what he was doing there, but he was not using gold to buy off any of my city states. But he did take those 3 city states. Arvius took 1, and Igor took 3. Now Miura was kind that he didn't felt like he can win himself, so he didn't try to do anything to stop me, because if he would stop me, then Tang would just win the game. Same goes for Arvius later on. He took 1 city state, bad Arvius, but he then went not relevant because he also didn't want to. He couldn't stop Tank, and he could maybe stop me, but by stopping me, he wouldn't win the game because he couldn't do anything to Tank later on. So that was very kind from those 2 players, but I don't know what Tank was thinking about not trying to take the proper city states, and also Purify could leave me for forever, well, before farewell nuke on my cities, and he would like slaughter my 2 core cities, like my capital and Porto, because I didn't have bomb shelters. I don't think I had bomb shelters like until the end of the game. And also Tank went for a different text. He didn't go for Manhattan Project. So, like, it was a very satisfying game that actually I put like everything on one card, and this time it actually worked. So that was really cool and really fun. So yeah, that's basically it that I have to say about this summary of this game. So if you haven't watched the game, please do watch it. The link should be somewhere around in here. And that's it for this video. So best wishes. Yoruus out.